you're taking your first cruise, there are some things you absolutely do not want to forget. You don't want to be that cruiser that's standing in the terminal realizing that you forgot something really important. Most times, your first packing mistake happens before you even get on the ship. Hi everyone, I'm Ashley Neal. Welcome back to the channel. If you're planning your first cruise, you're definitely in the right place. This video is part of my series, First Time Cruiser Academy, where I'm going to go through all the common first-time cruiser mistakes, tips, and tricks to help you feel at ease before you even get on board. And make sure you stay till the end because one of my favorite cruise items costs less than $10 and it can completely transform your cabin experience. Let's start with the items that you'll need before you even board the ship. As a travel advisor, I see this happen to my clients or first-time cruisers all the time, and I really want to help you prevent these mistakes. Cruisers show up at the terminal thinking their app is going to be fine. They haven't printed out their boarding passes in paper form, and this can be a real issue. If something happens with the app, if the Wi-Fi doesn't work or their data malfunctions, then you're stuck with no boarding pass and you're not able to get on board the ship. So one of the things you definitely need to make sure you pack is a printed out copy of your boarding pass so that if something happens, you are still able to board the ship. The next thing you need to have packed for boarding day is your passport or government identification. When you get to the check-in counter, they will compare your name on your passport or government identification to the name on your boarding pass for your ship reservation. If it does not match, they won't let you on, so make sure that this is the same name on both items. Another thing you need to have packed for embarkation day is a carry-on bag. And I'm going to go through in a few minutes on certain things that you need to have in this bag for boarding day. Once you board the ship, a lot of first-time cruisers run into this next problem. A lot of first-time cruisers don't realize that your luggage may not get to your cabin for hours after you get on board the ship. I've seen people staring at the pool and the pool deck for hours because their swimsuit is buried somewhere in their luggage that they still haven't received. So this brings me to the carry-on bag that you need to have packed and what you need to pack in it for embarkation day. You need to make sure that you have a swimsuit, sunscreen, any medications, your boarding pass and identifications, and also you need to have your cell phone and chargers. Anything that you're going to need for the first couple hours on board the ship needs to be packed in this carry-on bag. If you're wondering what exactly to pack in your cruise carry-on bag and your luggage, I do have a link in the show notes for my free cruise packing list, so make sure to check that out. This next one surprises a lot of first-time cruisers. It's that the cabin is very tiny. Cruise cabins are not very big. There's some storage under the bed, there's some cupboard space in the bathroom, and there's usually a small desk with a couple of drawers or a closet with a few shelves. There's not a lot of space in these cabins, so these next few items that I always pack are things that you need to help transform your cabin and make it a little bit more roomy. Number one is over-the-door toiletry bag. I always have this on my cruise. I can carry all my medications, all my toiletries in this bag, and it hangs nicely on the back of the door in the bathroom, taking up no space on the counter, and it's just very practical. Next, I always pack a nightlight. These cabins, especially an interior cabin, can get very dark at nighttime, so I always have a nightlight in the bathroom or somewhere in the cabin to give a little bit of light at nighttime if you have to get up for any reason. The next thing I always pack for my cabin is a non-surge power bar. Now, in saying this, it has to be sure that it's non-surge, otherwise it will be confiscated when you get on board the ship. So with this, there's not a lot of outlets in a cruise cabin. There's usually one or two American outlets. Sometimes there's a European outlet. Now the newer ships, they are coming out with USB and USB-C ports, but on the older style ships, there's only usually a couple outlets to use. So having a non-surge power bar really helps you be able to charge all of your devices at one time without having to worry about the limited access to outlets. And this brings me to my most favorite thing to pack and something I never cruise without: my magnetic hooks. In a cruise cabin, walls and ceiling are all metal, so you can hang these hooks anywhere in the cabin to hang things like your hat, your swimsuit to dry, your purse, anything really, backpack. It saves a lot of space in your cabin because if you have to put these things on your dressers or on the floor, it takes up a lot of space where the cabins are already small. If I had to choose one thing that I would never cruise without, it would be my magnetic hooks. I absolutely love these and they are a game changer for cabin space. So I will actually leave in my show notes a link to all my cruise must-haves, my Amazon link, so if you want to check those out, feel free. My next part of cruising that you really need to think about packing, and something a lot of people don't really talk about, is your excursions. You need to pack the right things for excursions. Nothing feels worse than when you show up for an excursion and you're unprepared. So these items are must-pack items for your next excursion on a cruise. The absolute most important thing to bring on an excursion is a small backpack. So it's very important to pack these things in the backpack for your excursion. You're going to want to pack some water, some Band-Aids, maybe some medications like Gravol and Benadryl in case you have a reaction and or feel nauseated on your excursion. You're also going to want to pack something like waterproof shoes, maybe a waterproof pouch for your phone if you're going to be doing some underwater filming, and maybe a pair of flip-flops, because if you do an excursion and then after your excursion you're going to be walking around the port a little bit, you may not want to wear your hot sneakers anymore, so some sandals or flip-flops may be a good thing to pack. A few bottles of water is always a good thing because most people that go on excursions and on cruises are usually in warm areas, so some water is good, or some hydration packets. Also, some Band-Aids are good if you are doing an excursion that requires hiking or ATVing, that you might get a scratch or two. Band-Aids or something maybe to pack in that carry-on bag for excursions. A few extra things that I always make sure that I pack on my cruise personally is sunscreen. I also pack baggies, so if there's things in the buffet like muffins or pastries that I wanted to bring back to my room to eat later in the evening, you can put them in a baggie and then store them in your room and they don't go stale. I also always pack hand sanitizer wipes, Lysol wipes, because I always, as soon as I get into my cabin, I always take my Lysol wipes, wipe down all the high touch areas. I don't know if this is the nurse in me, but as a nurse, I always think about the germs. So I wipe down my light switches, my remote, my balcony door, my bathroom door, any high touch area I make sure to wipe down as soon as I get in my cabin. Another thing that I always make sure I pack on a cruise, and this again may be brought out by the nurse in me, but it is my travel insurance documentation. So on a cruise ship, if you get sick and go to the medical area, you need to pay that up front and then they will afterwards bill your insurance. Anytime you have a medical emergency, you need to have that proof of insurance, because you need to be able to contact your insurance company to let them know there has been a claim filed. If you do not have this, they will charge you as a non-insured. It's happened to me before. I forgot my insurance card, ended up with a $20,000 bill for a routine medical visit in Emerge. So please make sure you have your proof of travel insurance on you at all times. Take a picture, put it in your phone, just have it. Many of my clients will ask me, can you bring wine on board because they drink a specific wine? The short answer is yes. Most cruise lines will allow you to bring 1 bottle of wine per person on board the ship. Sometimes they will charge you a corking fee, but you just look in the terms and conditions of different cruise lines that you're traveling on, and it states what you can and cannot bring and what the fees attached to that are. Also, if you do bring a bottle of wine on board that you enjoy, they will keep that in their wine cellar. So if you wanted to drink it at certain meals, say specialty dining, they will have that on hand so you can have your own wine with your specialty dining meals. The other thing I always bring on a cruise, and sometimes this causes some debate, is I do bring some cash for tips. I know you pay the gratuities, that's already paid, but I do enjoy tipping different people. I enjoy tipping the wait staff, the bartenders, anyone that is working hard, because the staff on the board cruise ships work extremely hard, sometimes 6 to 9 months at a time without seeing their family. I do like to tip them in cash. So this is my own personal preference. Let me know in the comments, do you guys still tip in cash while on board a ship? The difference between a stressful first cruise and a relaxing first cruise often does come down to preparation and packing skills. Most of these items I've talked about will save you time, frustration, and they're mostly inexpensive. Don't forget to grab my free cruise packing list. The link is below. That way you're always prepared and nothing gets left behind. And as I said, this is part of my First Time Cruiser Academy playlist, so be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss my upcoming videos. I'm Ashley Neal. I'll see you next time.